Well, all right, for you guys that are online, we're going to start in about 1 minute, 11:05. Okay. All right, good morning. It's 11:05. So we're gonna start here with Market Mondays. And again, oh wow, there's a lot of stuff happening here. Okay. Get my computer to work. Okay, remember, the slide deck is gonna come out to you. We posted it on Facebook, email it out, and you'll be able to access it. Some of these you've already seen if you've been coming to Market Mondays. Again, this is the slide from Moody's. This is their forecast at the end of last quarter in 2022. What is going to be peak to trough, right? What is going to be the bottom? Again, if you look at our colors, it's about a 10% discussion right there. And when you look at some of this national data, see that the South is holding up a little bit better than the other sectors or the other directions of the country. Okay. Now, year to date, again, these January numbers are back and they mirror a lot of the things that we've talked about. Again, sold dollar volume off about 30%, units sold off about 30%. You can see it 29.83, 28.40. Okay. Again, price breakdown range. And what we're seeing is a return again to the lower price ranges because of what's happening in the market, that the first time home buyer market is still a little bit, it's competitive still. Right, for you guys to own those 250, 300, even $400,000 houses. There's still demand there, and the buyers that could not buy from before that needed $30,000 to go purchase, they're able to buy with lower due diligence fees. What is it? What are the due diligence fees you guys are seeing right now? Anybody put anything under contract recently? 2,000. On a house, about how much was the house? 320.
I've seen 1,000, 10,000.
1,000 to 10,000?
We just did one, we got one under contract over the weekend, 15,000 due diligence.
15,000 due diligence?
What was the price of house?
250.
250s, was it multiples?
Ah,
So you're still gonna see some multiples, and that's why you're gonna see some. high due
Actually,
diligence.
it was multiples, but we got our offering first, so they negotiated with us first. Because we put in a really good offer.
That's nice, okay. Anybody else? Okay, so you're seeing those due diligence fees come, I would say, affordable, even though $15,000 is high, $15,000 is better than 50,000, right? Or 100% of asking price. What was the highest one we heard during the peak? We had a 200,000, we had a 75, we had a 200,000 on a $500,000 house.
I got 200.
I think you're the 200.
I'm the 200.
Two people did, I think someone.
Bill.
I
Bill
just
had
got
to,
50 on one.
because he lost your house, you had to go 200, I think, the next time. He put 100 in and said, next time, we're going 200. Yeah. Yeah, so it's immensely down from those days, immensely down from those days. And you're just, it's kind of weird. Again, these are month over month. They're the same numbers as the ones because we still only have January numbers out. All right, here it is. Every 7 days, you pull this number. What do you see? How many listings are there? And how many went under contract?
The same
Same
amount.
amount.
The same amount, the same amount. It has gotten closer and closer and closer, right? Remember back in the craziness, that number was inverse. We had more houses going under contract than we had coming on, right? Then the market softened last year. And that spread grew, that spread grew to over 100 at times, right? And it slowly closed over the last couple of months, and now you see it at 0. All right, which is a net 0, but if you factor in how many expireds or withdrawals there are, what does that mean? Listing inventory is still down. Okay,
If you look at a lot of those withdrawals, a lot of them have only been on there for just like a few days and then they withdraw. So they're, or they are taking them back off the market, so they're getting cold feet.
yeah, withdrawals are funny because withdrawals can be someone who was gonna leave and didn't leave or decided not to sell, whatever it may be, right? Expires are the ones that normally,
I've even seen
Sit
some
for time.
expired that have been on there like 15 or 20 days and they'll be marked expired. Yeah.
someone's not doing something right then. Someone is going in there and changing the expiration date
Yeah.
to the next.
it was a huge number in the price decrease, right?
You'll see, yeah, well, it's huge, but we've seen it in the hundreds mark. Prices are still are coming down. Or people are taking price reductions on houses. Right?
That's in 1 week, right? I mean. so-
This is 7 days. So this is last Monday to this Sunday. All right, let me make sure that's right. Yes, that's right.
Yeah, sounds like you're an agent. I mean, this is like feelings more than a statistic, but like I got my listing in Winston under contract like 6 days, and another agent I knew had one that was on the market, and she was like, it seems like everything's going under contract in like 6 to 8 days within that price range.
Yeah, I think it depends. I mean, I still hear of people again putting houses under contract in the day because of the demand in there, especially in those lower price ranges, right? The upper price ranges are getting a little bit softer. If you look at that absorption rate, go back to it, right? Again, over 1.7 million, sold 79 on the market. If you do that, that's
I think,
10, about 10 months, 11
Yeah, I
months,
think-
11 months of supply.
they're also counting the coming soon days now too, so as days on market, so like the one that.
Yeah, you see the 41,
that's fine,
41 coming
But
soon,
it didn't come active till Friday.
right there. Total number of actives, again, it's been on the decrease. Same thing across the nation. Not as many houses coming on the market. Why is that?
The rates have only gone up.
People are kind of rate locked. There's a lot of people that are rate locked. They don't want to go from their 2 or 3 to basically a 7, 6 or 7, 6-ish right now, right? They've ticked up last week a little bit. Okay, so they're kind of what we call rate locked. This is. Move this down here.
You know, Andy, this weekend I had the open house on, yesterday. And out of, 11 people, who came here, 11 as groups, 3 of them were, people that were in rentals. They had sold their homes. And now they're just kind of looking, and this isn't $500,000. We can't, like, they don't want a job. They're renting, they're stuck, I mean, these people have kids, and the interest rate is stopping them from that. And that's insane.
Yeah, I mean, you have to think, it's just that affordability factor, but one thing that's gonna have to happen, I feel that people are just gonna have to get used to that rate.
Right, that's exactly the conversation.
I mean, it's not gonna go back to 2.
Exactly.
It's not gonna go to 2. So if they're waiting,
Right,
right,
Exactly.
those days are,
I told you. Don't foresee 3% anytime soon. So what are you guys gonna do, you know? And-
it's gonna, I mean, you have to think. If they do that, that's to stimulate, that is to stimulate housing sales,
Mhm.
right? And they're not in a world of stimulation of the economy by any means at this point in time. Right now, all things are pointing downward, right? Rates are they're still gonna put, for what the Fed said, they're gonna push the rate because they don't see a slowdown. They don't see the slowdown in the economy that they wanted, right? They just don't see that. Like the job market's still good. I mean, unemployment's still at all-time high. I mean, on all-time low, sorry. Reverse of what I want. Total number of showings, as you can see, on the way up. On the way up. There's still the demand. It's this weird thing. It's the demand that is there. We just don't have the supply. Okay. Here's the number of showings. In those price changes. Again, this is just last week. Drops off where 500,000-ish. And you go to 7 and it really drops, right? That's the data. Still over, I mean, close to 1,000 showings between 150 and 300. So you see that demand there. But what would you define as, what is a first time home buyer need to spend now? I want to buy a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house.
250, 300.
250, 300?
No,
250,
250, 400.
Yeah, it could be 400 depending on where you want to live. The location, if you want to live closer to the center of town, it's going to be expensive. Right? I'm gonna jump out of here. I'm gonna play this video. So the 72 sold data is actually pretty good. And they discuss what's happening. See if I can get it in. It's not one. That's
is where, 28,000 or for down to 24,000 per house, and they're coming in and they're talking
we get to choose where we want to work, right? So,
Andrew, thank you for being here.
thanks for having me, Greg.
Andrew and I have known each other a long time, worked together, been competitors here. We're loving everybody with content, tips, advice, and strategy. What's going on in the national housing market today?
Been we covered a lot of it, and, made us all want to cry a little, and, we continue on, so.
Oh, we're gonna make you continue to cry, no.
No, I have some, okay, we'll get there.
All right.
But at first, I was gonna say, this may make some people cry, but, more maybe on the investment side. In the chat, we're putting in some information about Open Door and OfferPad, and the news that just was released that came out about, their earnings and Q4, and it was, I mean, we're not gonna be shocked that it was ugly for them in Q4. And it was ugly, and they lost.
Yeah, Open Door lost what, 400 million, they released earnings last night, 1.4 billion for the year. Do that, how do you lose 1.4 billion dollars? That's crazy.
It's just so much money to lose. I mean, in Q3, they lost almost $1 billion just in 3 months. And even if you look at, kind of the 28,000 per house, or for that at 24,000 per house, and they're coming in and they're talking about, the rough market. But if you look at a lot of the numbers, which I will go through, we are in a very balanced basic market. It's not exciting because it's a low velocity, which we can talk about, but at the end of the day, it's not like we've got tanking home prices. It's simply that the program is incredibly difficult to make profit on.
Yeah, and let's see what, so Open Door stock is down 85% for the year, and OfferPad down 15% for the year. I wonder what.
For the month, I didn't use the same metrics across the board, but currently, OfferPad is at 56 cents.
Yeah, oh, 56 cents, yeah, yeah, okay, well, there you go. So, they're at risk of being delisted if they stay below $1 for 6 months, and I think they're getting very close to that, so, okay, Sarah, go ahead.
We did have their January sales numbers, and, a lot of it is, oops, did it go away? You can start with that. Okay, so, we show year-over-year is an increase of 1.3%, and that is simply, it is just, this market is very slow and it's been moving, and if you look at some of the, and I guess I should also put in, this is on how many sales were happening on the West, Midwest, Northeast, those are not the price points, but it's just kind of showing the increase or decrease of the sales, and that's been the velocity, and that's kind of where we've had our sales prices continuously go down. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some negative year-over-year numbers in the coming months. And that's why I would say a lot of our focus needs to be on month-over-month to really track improvement or not, because year-over-year is real ugly.
Yeah, but take a look, take away there, guys, in the West, year-over-year, sales off 42%, right, Sarah, am I correct?
Yep.
In the South, off 36%, but go up to, where like Kevin Holmes and Sarah and the Northeast, sales year-over-year, about the same. But, so it's about the same, and Midwest actually up 2.7%. So, this Sarah's going to show you a slide in a little bit that Fannie Mae just released data that the number of home sales in, let's see, in 2021 was 6 million, last year was 5 million, and they're predicting another precipitous drop this year to 4 million. But you can see that drop is imbalanced. The home sales are dropping rapidly in the West and the South, but really not at all in the Midwest and Northeast. Would that be?
Yes.
Yeah.
Most of the building that is taking place across the country is in the South and in the West. And so that's why there has been so much more declines, I guess, in the South and the West, because in the Midwest and the Northeast, they just don't have the same quantity of new. And so their inventory's been a lot tighter. So it's been everything's just been tighter in those markets.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, go ahead, Sarah.
Sometimes it moves there. And so now this is, so we're gonna talk about supply. This is all, every line that we're looking at on this chart is a bar of a week of new listings. The light pink right there are ones that went under contract immediately. And what we're seeing here is we've been talking about it. What has been kind of helping us stay or stabilized has been the lack of new listings that are hitting the market. And so if we look at the median asking price from last week for all of everything that is available on the market, it is the same as it was a year ago. And so it's the lack of new listings that are really kind of just making it hold tight. And we do see that there's a lot of, we're continuously having decline in overall inventory, but a biggest part is all because of the lack of new listings. And if you look at, this chart, the bottom right, it was kind of July 4th is when sellers stopped, huge decline and listing their properties, and they really haven't come back since July.
Yeah, so the bottom line here, guys, and this is a big time important graph and talk track. Just so you know, because we have relatively few sellers putting their homes on the market. And why? Well, it's interest rate lock. It has to be interest rate lock. Now it's 7, so many sellers previously 3.5% loans. Who wants to sell? Start off with 3% loan and buy you a 7% loan. That's a big problem. And a lot of people can't even afford to do it. If they sold it for 3% loan, they couldn't even buy the same house, it's 7%. So they actually have to downgrade in-house. Who wants to do that? So that's causing a huge diminution in the number of people that are listing. That is stabilizing prices. But unfortunately, we earn money based on turnover, not based so much on price range. So the bottom line is relatively slow velocity. And I'm going to talk about this Monday, and everyone you should be on that call. This is when your margins will be slimmer. Your cost of getting business is going to be higher. Lead cost is going to be higher. TV advertising is magical. It is going to drive in business, but you're going to get less business per dollar because there are fewer people listening. The number of people watching TV doesn't change, but the number of people listing their home does. But guess what? Your competitors, your margins may be slimmer, your costs may be higher, your commission probably about the same, but at least you're doing business when your competitors aren't. And I'll tell you guys, get your arms around this for this year, because there's going to be one type of survivor, one type of person who prospers this year, and that's the person whose margins are slimmer, but they're doing business. The others aren't going to be doing business, and they're so be one who profits less per deal rather than one who doesn't do deals. And that is going to be your only choice this year. And that's my vision speech in terms of doubling down, spending the money, getting indoors, or sitting back and starving and getting a job at Walmart, because that's going to be your choice. The good news is you've got the program, you've got the marketing, you've got the ability, you just better have the guts to invest the money to get yourself indoors. So go ahead, Sarah. That's my view of what's going to be happening on the Monday team call.
And it's also true, and that's exactly what we are. And you think about it, what we're going to see is pent-up demand to sell properties. And so by all the marketing and doing the work now, they're going to remember you, because when the rates change to where they're willing to sell their properties, they're going to call you because you're the one who's been talking to them.
Yeah, exactly. So go ahead, Sarah.
So if we go to, sometimes it's not. Okay, this one is kind of interesting, and I've never shown a chart quite like this one before. This is what is currently being built that is or kind of housing starts based on what their purpose of the property is for. And the thing that is so powerful right now is this blue line right here. It is the build for rent. And for the first time since they started tracking this data in 1974, build for rent is outpacing build for sale. And it's going to, we've talked about rent, and we talked about, we're going to see a ton more rentals coming into the marketplace, whether it's single family or multifamily. there's just gonna be a whole lot more, and that's something that everybody needs to be aware of when they're looking at their competition.
Yeah, for sure. So bottom line there is, guys, I've talked to you always about what's the information you can use to get your sellers to price their homes right and to understand they need to take the contracts early on, not later on. And this is one of them. The number of homes and units coming out unavailable for rent is going to continue to increase. Rents look like they'll continue to soften. Rental market is definitely a competitor to the sale market. Anybody can need a place to live. That's a choice between renting and buying. And renting is becoming increasingly more attractive as interest rates go up and rents go down. And you need to memorize that contract when you go out and talk with sellers. That it's not just competition-based pricing. It's no longer just about the other homes in the neighborhood on the market. Competition-based pricing is also the rental competition and the new home competition. And you better work that into your contract so your sellers understand. So that's going to be part of what I talked about on Monday. Go ahead, Sarah.
Then I look at what is happening with our demand, and we wanted, because we know that interest rates moved a few weeks ago, and we didn't have any evidence of showing what impact that had on our market. Well, now we're starting to see that impact. And the biggest one is we had a huge growth in new contracts over the last, basically throughout January. And last week we had 6% decline week over week.
And this is nationally, a 6% decline in 1 week in new contracts. Yes, in new contracts, new homes being sold. And this is the time of the year when you typically see that increase, right, Sarah?
Exactly. This is not the time of year that you see anything decline. This is always, we're coming into our spring. We don't normally see things like, and 6% is pretty substantial. It's not a small number. What's also interesting is last week we didn't have a ton of closings, which is why our pendings actually increased 5%. There's no consensus as to why we have, but it's just what the data shows.
Yeah, but the real bottom line takeaway is don't get eluded by the contract ratio. The contract ratio here, which did go up a little bit, that's really an indicator of whether prices are going to be stable. The number of homes for sale versus the number of homes sold. Contract ratio, is the number of homes currently sold unclosed per 100 listings. Reason the contract ratio went up from 66 to 70 is because there are fewer listings coming on the market consequently, but new pendings down 6%. Guys, this is the market. I'm going to go talk you through this on Monday. This is the market when you can cream your competition, you can take them out of business, but you're going to have to invest the time and the money to do it. And it's really going to come down to whether you want to stay in business and make money or be out of business. There is going to be no choice. And you've got the program, you've got the marketing, you've got the company at your side. I'm not doing a picture 72 sold. I'm telling you reality. We're the only company in the country that can set you apart, give you the marketing materials, and even if you want to, use TV marketing to drive business to you. It's going to be higher than at least you're going to be doing business and making money. I'm going to talk to you about this on Monday. Go ahead, Sarah.
So then this is, we're also looking at, okay, where are we with the mortgage rates and I know Ryan really covered this. I'm not going to go too far into detail, but our purchase mortgage applications last week were down 18% week over week. So that is, and if you look at the top left, that's why. I can't even tell you, I was trying to someday, and I'm like, I haven't checked in like a couple hours. And it's like that much is changing. So we're just continuously watching this.
And don't be worried about this because it'll be up to 7 next week. So just move on because 682 is history. Go ahead.
Okay. Here's the chart that you were just talking about. So Fannie Mae is expecting a mild recession in Q2, and what I took the question. Okay, so I'm gonna step back. So here's what they are talking about: how many home sales closed over the last, there's a snapshot of 4 years. So we saw that in 2021, we had 6.1 million, declined by over 20% to about 5 million in 2022. And now they're projecting 4 million in 23 My one thing that I question is that in January, we already were at an annualized rate of 4 million, and it was based on contracts that were written last October. So last night, as I put this together, you know, the things. Over here, be like, you know, maybe we'll see some increase, but then, you know, if rates are back at 7, we're gonna be back looking at the markets we were in when these contracts were written that closed in January at the same rate.
My guess is, Sarah, we won't make 4 million sales this year. Watch. That's, you mark that down, all of you, 4,060 down from 5,026. My guess is rates will push over 7. We're not gonna see 4 million sales. A lot of realtors are gonna go out of business, and everybody with 72 sold is gonna prosper, and that's what we're gonna talk about on Monday. This is your golden opportunity to take your competitors out. I'm just telling you guys, this is your opportunity to take them out. They're not bad people. This has nothing to do with that. This is business competition. This is not just survival, it's prosperity. It's your family, it's your life, and this is your opportunity. And that's what we're going to be dealing with and talking about Monday is precisely what you need to do it. This is when you need leadership. This is when you need direction. Been doing this all my life. I've been through every type of economy. Don't mean to say I know everything. I actually don't know much about anything. Can't even change the time. But I had a lot of time. I wouldn't know what to do except call Teresa. Teresa will figure out what to do. That's what I do. She knows. She knows. So.
To know. It's about bridge, you know, there are about 7 million sales a year. So, you know, you can use that as a baseline to say, okay, so 4 million, I mean, that's like just a lot lower, which is, I think, why you it hurt my heart a little. Didn't want to.
Let it reach your heart. Sarah, you're amazing. All of you guys across the country, I hope you really appreciate what Sarah does for us. I want you to look at these numbers, and the takeaway over the weekend is your existing sellers. You must not fail to let your existing sellers, the people you have listed, see this data, understand what's happening, understand, and here we go. Understand, number one, that rates are going to push over 7%. Number two, before May 1st, here in the next few weeks, you know, buyers are going to have to pay a premium if they don't have a 780 credit score. Know that also the debt to income ratio, that's tightening up, so that buyers are going to have to pay a premium, you know, if they can't be above the 40%, you know, debt to income ratio or below it. And the bottom line is a lot of more can be below it because rates are going to 7%. Do you understand what's happening up there? These sellers need to understand they're sold now, right, Sarah?
Absolutely, 100,000%, because yes, all these things are.
Yeah, and you guys are professionals.
If you look. Some of these numbers mirror, some of them don't, right? We do have, again, actives coming down. It's been trending downward. And when you see that data here, of course, it's going to keep down to the negative. This is going to be the first negative we've had in a while. Normally it's been in a positive, right? This is just because of the seasonality for December. Right? Okay. Any other, you'll get the slide deck. Does anyone have any questions? I always say,